Welcome back to Fitness or Fiction. Today, we're going to continue our topic of behavioral change. And if you cued in last episode, I wanted to make it 4. Curtis wants to make it 2 episodes, so it's his fault. Cue the intro.
Welcome back to Fitness or Fiction, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the hype of the health and fitness industry.
Every week, we dig into a new topic and help you wade through the real information to make solid decisions on your fitness journey. So, behavioral change.
Change your behavior, change your life, as you changed it to at the end of the episode.
Topic 3.
Topic 3.
Change your behavior, change your life. Topic 3, round 3 of 3. It's a par 3.
Round 3. Ding, ding, ding.
Managing your social influence. You want to take over so I stop talking crap?
Why?
Nobody came for this.
This is great. Everybody loves it. Everybody. I know I can speak for everybody in the room.
Oh, only I do that. That gets you in big trouble. I think I speak for everyone here. When you definitely
Well, you got to be careful on that one for sure.
Oh, it's so good though.
But if we bring it back in.
Social influence.
Managing social influences. So in our first one, we talked about positive change expectations and self-efficacy. This time we're going to talk about managing social influences, which is a really important thing, and then promoting self-regulation, which, a lot of these kind of snowball on each other and intermingle when you talk about them enough. But that's kind of a good thing. It all should be part and parcel of the same sort of concepts.
Makes it easier to execute, I think, when they start intertwining.
Totally. And it's cohesive in nature, I think. So getting into our managing your social influences, we all have influences in our life. As of late, people like to talk a lot about cultural influences, which is fine. There's parental influences. There's group influences, like the kids in your class or the people at your workplace. There's all sorts of different influences that are out there. And you'll see a lot of stuff online that's saying, remove yourself from negative influences and stuff, which is what your parents always said. Run with the right group of kids. You're more likely to be successful.
But they're not the cool ones.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of buts.
I just want to hang out with the cool kids.
Right?
And they don't think I'm cool.
Yeah. But really, the first step on this one is trying to engage with people that support you. Now, this is an interesting one because we've talked about this before. In San Diego Zoo, they did a study one time on chimpanzees, and they put bananas at the top of this long pole. And every time a chimpanzee tried to go up, they'd spray him off with a fire hose.
That's so mean.
It's so heartless. But what they did was they kept doing that.
Let's do that to the boys, Lucas and
to
Will.
my kids. My kids would love it.
Yeah, they'd be down.
Yeah. I think the chimpanzees probably had fun with it for the first while, but then they settled into the idea that they were never getting those damn bananas.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is that they all stopped trying because you couldn't win. And then they started taking out one chimpanzee at a time and putting a new one in that hadn't experienced it before. So it would inevitably be like, there's bananas up there, bro, and try to go up.
Yeah.
But all the other chimps would hold it down. They would stop it from going.
Oh, they're like, it's no point.
This is what we deal with social influences. I'm not saying that these are bad people necessarily, but I'm saying they're a bad source of support for what you're trying to do if they can't support you in it. There can be all sorts of different things. Sometimes it's like cultural or generational or all this sort of stuff. Like a lot of parents in my parents' generation, like a lot of people of that generation, they look at exercise and they're like, oh, well, it's nice to have, but it's not a need to have. Like, if you need to get your back better, just stop. Just lay in bed for a while and it'll get better because my doctor told me so. Boom, I win.
Were your parents super supportive of you exercising like a maniac?
I think so.
You don't have to put them on blast. Sorry, mom and pops.
No, I think they really were. For me, I was so small. Like, I was so small that, like, William is as tall now as I was in grade 4. Mm-hmm. And he's in grade 2. So, like, I was really, really small. So I think they were just happy because I did sports at a pretty high level, that I was getting stronger and getting bigger so I could manage how much bigger the other people that I was playing against was. Because oftentimes I was playing against people that were 100 pounds heavier than me. Mm-hmm. Like, when I was in grade 9 and grade 10, in grade 9, I was like 87 to 90 pounds. In grade 10, I was starting to approach the 100-pound mark. And when I started working out, went up to like 115, 120. But like around that time frame, I was competing against people that were significantly heavier than me. So my parents were pretty encouraging. They bought me my first bench, which, you know, that's logistic encouragement at the end of the day. That's a support of another level, which is logistic. So the end of the day, the big thing that we want to do is we want to find the people who are going to encourage and support us. And sometimes it's not the people that you think.
Yeah, I have a little story on this, and it kind of loops back into last episode when we were talking about intrinsic motivation. I don't know if I've told you this or if you've heard it, but I've definitely mentioned it many times before. When I started working out, I was very skinny and wanted to be jacked, and I was trying to be part of the cool kids and the bigger boys in the gym, and they'd always kind of make fun of me, and everyone would always call me skinny, and, oh, why are you trying to work out? Oh, you're trying to get big. Oh, you're so skinny. And when I reached a point where I actually started getting larger to me was like my top was like 185, but just shredded at 185, which looks pretty large. The guys who I was trying to impress and like get in my social circle, once I hit that point, they kind of just were like, oh, you're on steroids, you're cheating. Call me names for cheating. And it made me that's kind of when I learned that hard lessons of like that social circle, that the people who love and support you will love and support you no matter what you do. No matter what your choices are. And then when I stopped trying to just get big and maybe tried to just train for performance or like Olympic lifting or flexibility or handstands, the people who loved me were like, yeah, go get it. Yeah, go get it. No matter what I was doing, there was support there. So it was like a really hard lesson that I think a lot of people also need to learn, is like looking for that extrinsic approval and validation from other people, and they ultimately don't really care. And I don't think we really pay enough attention to the people who actually constantly support you through everything.
Well, it's important to pay attention to, because even people that are there for you in a lot of different ways, when you start making them confront how they feel about themselves, oftentimes they aren't supportive in that realm. Mm-hmm. And I've run into this with clients before where, you know, they've always been the overweight person in their group, and all of a sudden they're not, and people treat them different, and some of them aren't very nice about it. And it's because it makes them confront, oh no, well, maybe I'm the heavy one now, right?
I've seen that happen as well. Yeah. I've seen it happen in relationships.
Totally.
If, both couples or both pairs are maybe not in the best shape of their life, and one of them starts trying to change their life and get into shape and maybe eat a little bit better, the other one becomes toxic. Like, oh, what are you trying to do? Who are you trying to become? Like,
they start pulling them down so they can't get the bananas.
They start trying to pull them down so they can't get the bananas. That's because again, like it's comfortable and they're battling their own demons and insecurities.
And a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff. So I'm not saying that that's a bad person or anything, but I am saying that's not the right person to be around if you're trying to do something that's important to you and your longevity. So when we start saying, you know, you need to find encouragement and support, keep an eye out for that. And the cool thing about keeping an eye out for something and having that expectation that you're going to find it is you will find people that are encouraging and positive, and they will just come out of the woodwork. And sometimes they'll just surprise the crap out of you. It'll come from unlikely sources, but because you're looking for it, you're going to find it. So that's an important first conversation. The other thing that we start looking towards is fostering discipline. So basically, fostering discipline is like, discipline ends up being doing the right thing regardless of stuff that comes up, right? So this is part and parcel with staying away from the negative influences. And if you can't stay away from the negative influences, because I have a lot of people that are, they have influences in their life that are very close to them that aren't encouraging to them, and actually are the opposite. They're discouraging because they would say that exercise and fitness aren't worth paying for, and you're just going to hurt yourself, and you're going to make yourself muscle bound, and like all of these things that are just innately untrue. But we need to foster discipline by helping educate, which we talked about in our last topic. And then the other thing is managing the negative influences, because it doesn't, just because somebody's negative on something doesn't mean you need to totally cut them out. Yeah. Now, if they're negative on everything, that might be the case. But, you know, people that have been incredibly motivating and encouraging in my life aren't that way on every topic. Nor can I expect them to be. But on that topic, maybe they're undereducated. Maybe they've had a bad experience and they're biased against trying. There's a lot of things that could have happened, but all you need to do is manage the fact that that's the place.
That's a hard one to wrap your mind around too. I think that speaks to me on a lot of levels, is like expecting, like you said, they're super motivating, positive in some aspects, and then other aspects they flip the switch and you're like, what the hell? Like it wasn't like you were expecting at all. And then you can almost hold extra bias or resentment towards them because they flip the script on you so quickly.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing that helps me deal with that, because I have a hard time with that, but the thing that helps me with that is thinking that it's likely a them thing. Like it's an experience that they had, or it's a truth that they hold that is just not the case. It's not well enough educated, or something of the like. It's something that gave them a negative experience. So all they're doing is telling you that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that they mean it as negative as it can come across, but it is something to pay attention for. And on that topic, if you have support or help in the form of a training partner or a trainer or somebody like that, and they're not giving you the best positive encouragement, sometimes you need to kind of look at that particular situation as well. Like it can be things that are really, really sneaky that don't help you out the way that you need. And so you really got to watch out for that stuff. Mm-hmm. But managing those negative influences, it can be social media. Let's get in that. Like how many people go to social media, look at all the people that are showing the pictures of when they were the most jacked, and get off social media and be like, you know what? I feel better about myself now.
Yeah. You know what actually makes me feel the best on social media for posts like that? Because I definitely suffer from some body dysmorphia myself, forever feeling skinny, forever feeling not big enough. I like it when I see guys who will be like, this is me in perfect lighting, after, like with a pump flexing, and they look jacked. And then they're like, this is me this morning, and they look kind of flat and normal, but they didn't have the pump, they don't got the lighting, they don't got like everything, like all the stars didn't line. They're like, these pictures were in the same day. And I was like, oh God, it's not just me. Like,
yeah. No, that sort of stuff can actually be really good.
Women on the same side do that thing where they're like, this is me with the perfect angle, sucking my stomach in, twisting my torso a little bit, leaning back into the light, and this is me sitting down, and like they look like a normal human all of a sudden, not a supermodel.
Well, and of the content that's out there, I would say that's probably
rare.
Less than 1%.
It's rare.
Pretty heavily less.
But I respect it.
Me too. So I'm not saying social media is a negative thing on the outline, but I am saying that's an influence we have to pay attention to. That is a community that's an influence. So sometimes people just need to be like, how is this going to make me feel if I'm looking up fitness stuff online? Right? And sometimes the answer is really good. You find an account that you follow that's really positive and motivational, and to your point, presents things that make you feel great. That's what I'm talking about with management. I'm not talking about abstaining. I'm talking more about find the one that builds into you, which, when we talk about this whole thing of managing social influences, that social media has to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's huge.
So we really want to lean into the positive stuff and stay away from the negative stuff. Sounds really simple, but when you start breaking down all the places it can come from, it's actually pretty complex. Mm-hmm. So, and then the last topic that we got to talk about is promoting self-regulation.
I don't know how to self-regulate. I said that slightly robotic.
Well, the first thing you want to do is set up a plan.
Which kind of is like number one. That's
right. It starts looping back into that self-efficacy thing where self-regulation ends up being a scenario where if you look at the behaviors or the path on behavior change, there's, pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and then you're going to inevitably have relapse. Mm-hmm. Like even somebody that's really into working out, they can't work out every time that they want to every week. And I would actually say if you're not willing to take any days off, it can start borderlining on dysfunction as well, right?
Yeah.
But this whole thing about having a self-plan, it's not just about like, do I understand my why and all this sort of stuff? It's like, okay, what happens when I can't make it to the gym? Because the way that you communicate with yourself on that ends up being a really important thing. So
what do you do if you can't get your workout in? Do you replace it with something, or do you just let it slide and like that was it? Do you double up? I hate it when my clients double up. Like, I missed 3 workouts, so I did all 3 of them today. I'm like, don't do that. That is not what we're doing.
I try not to double up. Yeah, no. Sometimes I just let it fly. Like in the last couple of weeks, I've been programmed for 4 days, and I've only got 6 workouts in the last 2 weeks. So I haven't done all 4 both weeks. Now, I've been out with my kids riding bikes. I've been at the river catching crawfish, which are in the elbow, which is not good. They're an invasive species. But we found a 10-centimeter one.
So the boys have told me.
Yeah,
They have instructed me on that.
Oh, they're all about it. I love when Lucas looks at you and goes, they're an invasive species. It's like, you're 4.
Yeah. So, what you going to do about it, Lucas?
Yeah. Oh, careful, because he's heartless.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's one of these things where if I can't make my workout, I'm going to try to fit it in. Like if I have 4 days a week and I miss my 2 days and I'm like, I can't miss another one, but family time comes up and I just can't make it. A lot of times I'll just be like, I'm going to be active with my kids and I'm just going to call it good because I think it's good for me.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a healthy strategy or not, but to each their own. For me, if I don't get my workout in by the end of the night, I try to think of something that I can do to enhance my recovery or my relaxation, whether that's breath work. Enhance. Whether that's breath work or meditation or 10 minutes of stretching, or I'll force myself to read a book, because if I watch 30 minutes of Netflix before bed, it's super stimulating. Whereas if I read a book for 30 minutes, I can feel my body getting calmer and my heart slowing down and everything. Like I can feel my stomach digesting better. Things start moving. So for me, at the end of the day, if I'm like, oh man, I didn't get my workout in, well, then I'm going to try to enhance my recovery from that day.
Love it. Yeah, I find that for myself, I just want to fall asleep like I was in university a couple of times, where you're like sitting in class, you just cannot keep your eyes open. It's like, man, I just want to go to sleep. I just want to feel like that before bed sometime, because that was amazing.
So, I tried to meditate last night, and I have a weighted blanket. It's like a 25-pound blanket.
I got a 30.
Oh, man, 25 pounds is like more than enough. Like even 30. I put this thing on me last night, and I don't remember falling asleep. I was like, I just pulled it up. I had it laying in half and wrapped it on me, and I started doing box breathing, which is like you breathe in a square. So like 3-second inhale, 3-second hold, 3-second exhale, 3-second hold. So it's easy. It's the easiest breathing work to do because it's so basic. Pulled that weighted blanket on. Was gone. I woke up like 6 a.m. Like, what happened? I was going to try to meditate.
How many years has it been? What planet am I on?
Yeah.
I love sleeps like that. That's good. But yeah, so getting back to everything, making a plan for what to do when you can't make it. Or, I tried to book out my week. I only actually have 3 days this week. Okay, well, maybe I can just take 25% of that workout and put it into each one, because that's not crazy. It's not doubling up. It's still getting the sets in though, right? So having that plan is really important. And then one that I like to talk about is identifying coping strategies. Each person has their own coping strategy of what they do when they feel really stressed out, or when they're really tired or really over it or whatever. And these coping strategies can vary all over the place, from things that are completely reasonable. Like, you know what, I'm feeling really stressed out, I'm just going to go and read a book. But that can all of a sudden become not so reasonable when it's like, I have a lot of stuff to do that needs to get done, but I'm going to read a book instead. Like that. So you need to identify coping strategies. And oftentimes these are things that go directly against your goal. So like, I know a particular trainer that I've been friends with for a long time.
Don't look at me when you say it
not
like
you.
that.
It's not you. But this particular dude, man, he tries to keep big packages of candy out of the house, because once he starts, he can't stop. Like he doesn't auto-regulate well. So he's told me, like, one of my strategies is if there's going to be candy, it's going to be a small package.
Yeah.
And just identifying that that's a coping strategy when you're stressed out, that can really help keep you on the ball and self-regulate, right? Like some people, instead of putting out a bowl of candy, they take a little tiny bowl, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to put this much in it. And by the time you sit on the couch, it's like, oh, I don't want to get up again. That sort of thing can actually be a really good strategy.
Yeah, I don't need to get into it. Exactly what you're saying is what I've done. I've bought in large bags of candy, but I splice it out into smaller portion-sized containers, grab the one portion, because if I take the whole bag with me, I eat it without even noticing. It happens very rarely, but it happened once this year, and Diane was like, oh my God, you ate that whole bag? And I was like, oh damn, but it's because I was in a rush and I just grabbed it and went, and then just ran on autopilot and crushed it.
Yep.
Whereas normally I'm very good at portion control.
Totally. And just understanding that this is something that people deal with, and knowing that you're not crazy for having dealt with that. It's a really important thing. And the last thing that we would talk about in this category is promoting self-monitoring. So that kind of fits in with what you're talking about, where it's like, well, I'm going to portion out this much. Like, I know exactly how much of that I had. Like, I like buying the pulled chicken from Sobeys.
Yeah.
Not like the rotisserie chicken, but the pulled one. Because I know exactly how many grams are in it. I split it in half. I know how much I've got. And even if I'm in a rush, I dump it in a bowl, leave the house, and eat it with my fingers.
Yeah.
I try to wash my hands first.
Savage.
Yeah, because COVID. But I try to wash my hands first. But these little self-monitoring things, this can be a steps tracker. One of my clients, Jeff, he likes to make sure that he's burning 700 calories in a workout. When he sees less than that, he's like, ooh.
Damn, that's a lot of calories, Jeff.
That's a ton of calories. But he's been crushing it for months. And just 2 months of being consistent with that, he's noticing huge differences. So this self-monitoring thing, it gives you data to know when you're kind of coming off of the path. And those strategies are really important because it's not only about what you do once you've fallen off, it's about recognizing what road you're taking.
Yeah. For us, we utilize that software. True Coach shows you your compliance. What percentage of workout have you done in the last 90 days?
Totally.
Valuable.
Yeah. So really at the end of the day, when we talk about behavior change, these are 4 things to keep in mind. Like, you really want to make sure that that you have a positive expectation of what's going on, that you're building self-efficacy, that you're managing your social influences, and that you're promoting your own self-regulation. And at the end of the day, if we can just give some voice to some things that we're going through and realize that it's totally normal and there's things to be done about it, I think that can go a long way instead of just looking at a social media post that says, just get it done, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Nike, just do it.
Yeah, man. Sometimes it takes a little more than that.
I'm going to propose this for a 3rd episode, but maybe the 3rd episode we should summarize on some of the easiest strategies like minimum effective dose out of these 4 topics.
I'm in.
All right.
If you've made it this far, please share this with a friend if you found it useful. You can absolutely like, subscribe, and all of that things, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.
And if you made it this far, definitely leave a comment in the YouTube comment section commenting about Curtis's biceps. That would make me happy. Thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate your support.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would subscribe, follow, and throw us a like on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.